Right. The best laid plans. Dr. Lester.
President Conaway, sir. Best laid plans of mice and men are those that could have been. We just need a piano player, but we're going to sing without it. Sing with it, the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed as the twilight's last gleam, whose rough stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Pledge with
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
James Etheridge has our invocation.
Join me in prayer. Join me in prayer, please. Father, we're so thankful for this beautiful day. Thankful for the blessings you give us each day, your protection, your goodness and kindness and your grace. We thank you for this club. We thank you for the community. We ask you, Lord, to continue to bless us as we try to serve others and as you give us opportunity to. We thank you for the food that's provided today. We ask you, Lord, to bless those and or for in our community that serves us, and our leaders, our first responders, our policemen, and our nation and our state. We thank you now for all these things. In Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Family of Rotary. We got
Go ahead. Oh, you going there? I thought Jack Lawyer for a minute there got mixed up, thought he was spirit. Yeah, who in their right mind would read that, right? Short the birthday department, but they're good ones. Bill Cashlin on March the 20th, and Liz Flowers on March 25th. And the only anniversary, and I guess it'll be a big celebration, Roy, Ravini, and Eve on March 27th. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you.
Linda Page, introduction of guests and visiting Rotarians. This is a good looking crowd out here today.
We are very happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until all visitors have been recognized? Sandy Short, guest of Terry Duffy. Lee Jacobs, guest of Stephanie Walker. Patrick Mallory, guest of Stephanie Walker. Chris Claypool, guest of Walter Hill. Patricia Stewart, guest of Lester Stewart. Tim Goodwin, guest of Dell Goodwin. And Mark and Emmy Reynolds, guests of the club. Are there any other visiting Rotarians or guests that I have not mentioned? Good. Thank you for visiting us.
Camp ask a drawing. $536 points. Last four digits, 5138. 5138. The ace lives on. Dale Goodwin has a presentation. District Governor Dale Goodwin.
And I'd like to ask Bob Rutter, our past district governor, and Bruce McNeil to join me as I do this Paul Harris presentation. Y'all please join me up here. I know it was a surprise. So, yeah. So the person that we're presenting a Paul Harris to today really needs no introduction in our club. This young gentleman was this close, as we say with polio, eradicating polio, this close to being a Paul Harris member. This will be his first Paul Harris recognition. And he's done lots and lots of things. I'm not going through the whole speech about what Paul Harris does in our annual fund, but without our annual fund, there's so many projects and things in Rotary that we could not do. This person was very instrumental in us getting the Outlaw Club started. This person helps with our Zoom. This person helps with the John Jam. This person leads a lot of things that we do, and we're very excited. As the district governor, one of the opportunities that I have that I didn't know I could have is to help present Paul Harris members to outstanding members in your club. And I've chosen Josh Chapman to be the first Paul Harris that I've been able to present during my year as district governor. Josh, will you please come?
Wasn't expecting that. Thank you very much. This means a lot, and happy to be a part of this club and serve alongside each of you. Thank you.
Josh Dothan. Bishop.
Well deserved. Bruce McNeil will come forward. I was a waiter. I waited till you got your mouthful of booze.
It's always exciting time to bring in a new member to this Dothan Rotary Club. You'll be hearing some history about Rotarians a little bit later, but there's nothing more exciting than bringing in the new member. Now, unfortunately, this young man and future Rotarian was not I repeat, was not brought up on Easy Street. He really wasn't. He didn't move to Easy Street until 2003, where he lived for the duration of his schooling, including schooling at Troy State. So truly, he was raised on Easy Street. And Mark and Emmy Reynolds, his parents, will attest to that. And they're here with us today during this induction period. It takes a lot of us, a lot of years to accumulate the resume that Alex Reynolds has. He's done this in a few years. According to his dad, he's 25 years old. He said, "Did you check with his mother on that?" But just to give you some highlights from his bio, of course, he went to Northview, Wallace College. He was magna cum laude at Troy University and Mr. Some of Everything. He was a congressional intern in 2019 to Congresswoman Martha Roby. And then he was many things at Troy University. I had the pleasure of seeing his mother's Facebook. And she routinely bragged on him, which was very deserving. Kappa Phi Honors Society, Phi Kappa Delta Pre-Law Fraternity, Student Government Association, which he was involved. He was a Trojan ambassador. He was a college Republican. Student Alumni Association, YMCA College Legislature, the list goes on and on, Alex. Because we do have more to the program today. But his community involvement from 2020 to present, he was heavily involved with the Alabama GOP. He was involved in the Tommy Tuberville for U.S. Senate campaign, Kay Ivey for governor campaign, Will Answorth campaign for lieutenant governor, Tommy Bell campaign for governor. He was heavily involved in his church at Ridgecrest. He had many activities within the city of Dothan. The city of Troy, praise and worship team. He conducted the youth leadership interviews by County Chamber of Commerce. So if there was a finger to stick something in, Alex was sticking his finger there. Presently, he's a field representative for U.S. Congressman Barry Moore, which obviously keeps him pretty busy. I see him in many places there. His dad told him, "You can be a politician if you want to, but first get out and get you a job." So he is a cardiovascular intensive care nurse. And some of you may remember Alex Reynolds from the golf course out at the Highlands, because he would take your golf clubs from you and put them on the cart and send you on the way and hope for a nice trip there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to introduce Alex, if you'll come forward, the newest member of the Dothan Rotary Club, Alex Reynolds.
Alex, you've been chosen membership of the Dothan Rotary Club because your fellow members believe in you and believe you to be a leader in your vocation, because you manifest those qualities of head and heart which fit you to interpret and impart the message of Rotary to those with whom you come in contact. You are the representative of your vocation. And any contribution of an educational value pertaining to that vocation has to come from you. On the other hand, you become an ambassador for us to your vocation, and it becomes your duty to carry the ideals and principles of service to your work. We expect much from you in help and inspiration, which will enable us all to be better Rotarians. With this hope, we most heartily offer you Rotary Fellowship. Alex, I wish to impress upon you that you've been admitted not only to the Dothan Rotary Club, but to a worldwide association, and by virtue of your membership, you'll be welcomed into the fellowship of any Rotary Club in the world. The honor and privilege of Rotary membership carries with it duties and obligations. You will be expected to attend the club's meetings regularly, to perform your share of club service, and to place your knowledge and talents at the disposal of the club. Community will know and judge Rotary through your embodiment in its character and service. We accept you as a member because we believe our principles and organizations to be safe in your keeping. I ask the members to rise. It is now my distinct pleasure to present our latest Rotarian, Alex Reynolds. For those assembled, your four-way test, your Rotary pin, and your badge that you will wear at your Rotary meetings. Thank you very much. Walter Hill is going to bring us up to date on the Rotary Ball.
Mary Beth could not be here, so she texted and wanted me to give this announcement because we still got 3 tables for the Rotary Ball with the Tuesday Club that we're doing. 100% of the proceeds go to the Miracle Field for upkeep. So we need to sell these last 3 tables. I believe they're $1,100 for a table of 8 or 10.
Table of 10.
Table of 10, $1,100. So you have reserved table, and there's about 70 individual tickets left, and they're $100 a person. So either let myself, our president, or Heather know, and Mary Beth has the tickets, and we'll get those to you.
Thank you, Walter.
April 22nd.
April 22nd. That's right.
That wasn't in my text.
Mike Conaway will introduce our program today.
Thank you, President Greg. Good afternoon, Rotarians. Good to hear you. Good afternoon. You know, first time I heard of Rotary, Bruce Hall and I were visiting his grandfather, Harry Hall, in the Methodist nursing home. And while we were there, as we were leaving, he said, "Mike, why don't you let my grandson take you to Rotary?" So I kind of shrugged it off. I thought I was too busy to be a Rotarian. Then my good friend John Watson, who kept on me for years and years, he'd say, "Come on, go to Rotary." And I'd say, "Got to go to this hearing, I got to do this or whatever." Finally, one day, my friend Joe Miller called me up and he said, "I've got a legal issue, I got to see you right now." I said, "Well, okay." So he said, "Let's go to lunch." I said, "Okay." So he came and picked me up, and the first place he took me was right here, Rotary Hall. I said, "Okay, Joe." And then I realized that I had come to the right place with the right folks. You think about it, how did you become a Rotarian? You became a Rotarian because of people. People are the real foundation of Rotary. All of us share a fellowship with folks that are committed to service, people who are community leaders, professionals, and folks that just like one another. They like to work together. Today, some of us are going to celebrate and remember Rotarians who've made a difference in our community, in our club, and in our lives. Rotarians like Harry Hall, Mark Cannon, John Conti, Rufus Davis, Ralph Smith, Art Morris Sr., Art Usry, Morris Slinger, Alfred Saliba, Paul Phelps, General Roger Peterson, Odie Warren, John Solomon, Gene Reagan, Ralph Crutchfield, Paul Angeloff, Earl Lane, and others that will be remembered on this Remembrance Day. I'm going to ask some of my fellow Rotarians to offer a few minutes of memories. And they're going to give you a snapshot of their honoree. And the first person who's going to make a presentation is Bruce McNeil. Bruce, will you kick us off? Remember, 3 to 5 minutes.
Alex, as a new member of the Dothan Rotary Club, you had one chance to say no, and that was earlier. So your job at 4 minutes and 10 seconds is to tell me it's about open. So you need to start timing if you don't mind, because there's no way in the world, Bob, Rotary, that I can talk about Harry Hall in 5 minutes. But I'm gonna do my very, very best there. Mr. Harry B. Hall of Dothan, Houston County. He was born on May 1st, 1907, died at the age of 86 on January 28th, 1994. Believe it or not, he attended Howard School, and he was regularly on the honor roll. Pretty impressive. Every time I looked, I saw Harry Hall. He went on and graduated from Dothan High School in 1924, and then began his long career. Trust me, I'm leaving out a lot of things about Harry Hall, but with the time, we're going to hit the high spots here. He actually came back to Dothan in 1927 to take the post of advertising manager for the Dothan Eagle, and it looks like he actually took that position in 1932. In the Dothan Eagle announced on April 11th of 1934 that Harry Hall was the new president of the Dothan Rotary Club. Yes, how many times Harry Hall was president of the Dothan Rotary Club? Okay. Twice, in 1938, 39, before that, 1934 and 1935. In 1935, he became the publisher of the Dothan Journal weekly newspaper. Some of you may remember that paper. He was elected Dothan Rotary Club vice president under the President I.C. Ezel, who was actually the former mayor of Dothan. That was back in 1937. And then he was on a committee with the Dothan Chamber. He was big in the committee, let me tell you, the chamber. They discussed the peanut festival, tracing the peanut crop from all over Alabama and what it meant to the Dothan area back in 37. So he was involved in organizing the peanut festival, involved in organizing the 1938 Rotary District Convention in Dothan. And I'm jealous of Dale because he had 400 Rotarians at his convention here. He was the Chamber of Commerce Secretary in 1940, and he was the district governor of district. I think it was 688 back in 41, 42. Bob, it may be another district because they changed numbers over the years. And if there was a committee at the Chamber of Commerce, Harry Hall was involved. He was chairman of the County Southeast Committee in 1942. Bob, I'm going to give you a test later to see if you can figure out what that was about. Hall was responsible for bringing the Rotary International President of little bitty Dothan, Alabama. 1 minute left. Good gracious. I'm going to talk real fast in 42. He managed the election of James A. Simpson for his Senate campaign in 44. I'm going to skip a few things because I've been given 1 minute. The Harry Hall Meritorious Achievement Award was established in 81 by District Governor Charles Chapman, who was District Governor in 81-82, and in 1977, Charter President of the Rotary Club of the Houston County. His purpose in establishing the award was to recognize Rotarians in District 688 who exemplify the motto of Rotary International in a distinguished and significant manner. Governor Charles chose to name the award for past District Governor Harry P. Hall, a member of the Dothan Rotary Club. At the time, DG Harry.
Thank you very much.
Harry B. Hall, Achievement Award is now recognized as the most coveted honor that District 6880 bestows on a Rotarian.
Thank you.
I told you I could do it.
My brother.
Yes, a gavel.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Try to get down there on it. But Mike asked me to make a little talk about the Rotarian that had the most influence in my life. The choice was really easy. It was Walter Moore, but to do it in 3 to 5 minutes is going to be a challenge. I've chosen 2 areas of service that Walter seemed to be most pleased with and we talk about during his life. Walter was born February 4th, 1919 in Thomasville, Georgia, and lived for 86 years. His childhood was typical of South Georgia kid growing up. He walked to and from school, and it was a really long way. But when he was 10 years old, the Great Depression hit. And Walter's father, who had a small grocery store, had a lot of credit, finally had to close the door. So Walter had to scrounge around and see if he couldn't find some groceries. Then he wound working several places to help contribute to the family's financial woes. One of them happened to be a hardware store. Walter filled much of his extra time by reading books from the local library. He graduated from high school in the 11th grade. See, Walter Moreland was very smart. Walter met his wife Doris at the Methodist Church in Thomasville, and just before World War II, they got married. Walter had taught himself to type. He kind of figured that might keep him from having to crawl around on the ground with a backpack and a rifle and somebody be shooting at him. Because you see, Walter, he was very smart. Most of us, we learn to type, use both hands. Then some of us, maybe back like Walter Cronkite, Edward R. Murrow, they would use these 2 fingers to type. Walter was different. If you ever saw him type, it would make an impression on you. Walter used these 2 fingers. I tried that on a table. Okay, Walter got out of the service, went in as a private, came out as a major, returned to Thomasville, went to work for W.J. Powell Company. Walter was the heir apparent to Mr. Powell, who was 80, but family politics intervened. Mr. Powell's daughter married a Wharton School of Business graduate, and Walter kind of got eased out. He got eased out over toward Dothan. In 1952, he came over here to see if he couldn't resuscitate the ailing Powell Company here. And when he retired several years later, W.J. Powell was doing a little over $6 million a year, and the home office in Thomasville was doing about $4 million a year. I think Walter was very smart. One of the first men Walter met when he moved to Dothan was Harry Hall, Dothan Federal Savings and Loan. He introduced Walter to Rotary. Walter joined Rotary in 1952. In 1957-8, he was the president. Walter served most of the Rotary committees. He attended district meetings. He was instrumental in the founding of the Wiregrass Rehabilitation Center. Walter was a Paul Harris Fellow, and he was the recipient of the Harry Hall Memorial Trophy, or award. It is actually a trophy. That's the highest honor you can get in District 688. He served the community in other areas. He was on the Houston County Red Cross Board, Boys Club, Chamber of Commerce, City of Dothan Personnel Board. I think Walter was very smart. Walter was especially pleased with the service of 2 organizations. 1971, Harry Hall and John Clanton started the biracial study group to improve Community relations shortly after Carver and Dothan High School were merged, integrated by federal mandate 1967, 69, 70 school year. This was a group of 10 white, 10 African Americans that met once a month to discuss problems that might be going on in the world. They kept the peace.
Close.
Okay. Second, I gotta mention this, he was instrumental in, Covenant United Methodist Church. It would not be there if it weren't for Walter Morgan. If you experience a small stirring in your soul that tells you, yes, some Rotary project to serve on a committee or just something that you thought of yourself, that's the spirit of Rotary talking to you. That's the spirit of Walter Morgan saying, you can do it. Walter was my yardstick in life. I just hope I'll measure up.
His last year today, let's stand up. That's Walter's boy. Next is Terry Duffy.
Thank you, Judge. Brevity is not my strong suit. Most of y'all would probably know. So if I speak a little bit too fast, just turn up the list a little bit quicker. I'm going to show a video because I think a video and pictures explain something even better. On this video, you'll see two iconic broadcasters there, Ann Barber and Gene Reagan. Gene was a fellow Rotarian and a dear friend of mine. I was very fortunate when I moved into the area over in Enterprise, Alabama in March of 1977 to meet Mr. Reagan, and very shortly thereafter, because Mr. Reagan had something I wanted, it was advertising dollars. Most of y'all would not know this, some would. This man controlled the farm ag budget for so many ad agencies. If you wanted ag money, Gene was the guy that could either put it on your station or absolutely keep it off. And so we played rock and roll music, and it was a real chore to convince him that every Auburn University graduate did not listen to country music. But 6 months into it, I had Mr. Reagan on the radio, on a rock and roll radio station, and it became bigger and bigger, and we became dear friends. I would be remiss if I don't mention this. I have Sandra Short with me today. Sandy is the office manager at Singing Table Production, has been a member of our family since March of '94, us getting the company in '92 to help South Trust Bank out, as I did with many different properties. And the reason I wanted Sandy here today, because I know this means a lot to her. She had the distinction of doing Mr. Reagan's billing back in the day when the radio tapes went out all over the place, the TV tapes and everything. And we'd go out to Mr. Reagan's farm and visit with him. One of the things that we were sharing, that she was on the way out to the farm one day, got out there, and he pointed out, and he had a bunch of distinguished cows. And if you ever saw them, they were Charolais. It was beautiful, beautiful cows. Had one called Alabama, was it 401 or 104? 402, okay. And he told her, he said, now you be careful coming and going, because if you hit this cow, I'm gonna be very honest with you, I will administer that cow first and you second. So his cows are very precious. She later went out and they had a cow about the calf. And he said, you ever delivered a calf? And she said, no. He said, well, you're gonna maybe have to help me just a little bit. And because I think that's probably the only time she refused. She said, that's not in my job. So we're not gonna do that. Anyway, I'll show you a quick video. It's 2 minutes, and then we'll try to get some wrap up, because this gentleman meant a lot to me. He came to my office on a regular basis, and Sandy would have the distinction of doing his obituary. And this went on for many, many years, because he always said, the Dothan Eagle will totally screw up my obituary. I want it wrong. Here's the tape.
And heart.
Now, all I want to see is old Gene Radio Channel 4, the Gene Reagan Show. And so I can see
When it comes to describing Gene Reagan, WTBY's broadcaster for almost 41 years, and a man who's received more than 70 awards, Ann Barnum describes him best.
He's done more to encourage agriculture and agricultural-related business in our community than any other person. We indeed honor Gene Reagan.
I've been busy. I don't have a play. When I started working, I 16 years well before that on farm. Actually worked in a farm equipment manufacturing plant when I was barely 16 years old.
And it was that work ethic that Gene spread into his life, faith, family, and career. On the Gene Reagan Farm Show, Gene spoke with many local farmers and kept viewers up to date on everything agriculture and agribusiness related. And yes, that even included the occasional trip to Ops Rattlesnake Rodeo. And heartfelt interviews on the Ann Barnum Show.
Were you just as thrilled over this award as some of the others you achieved?
I get emotional. I guess more so because it was such a breaking point in my life.
A turning point that prompted him to success. Gene's live Saturday evening show and noon farm report on Channel 4 are believed to have been the longest running TV farm programs on a single station in the US. And when it comes to saying goodbye to such an extraordinary man, again, I think Ann says it best.
But Gene, we do appreciate everything about you. You have a beautiful home and a beautiful family. We honor you, and we want you to know that you are still a part of WTBY. You always will be. Gene Reagan, and we're going to join us tomorrow.
That was just a quick look back at the past, and for new members, maybe you did not have the chance to know this distinguished Rotarian that really surely believes service beyond self. Gene Reagan was born on March 22nd, 1924, and passed on September the 21st. Right.
I can still use Gene Reagan. We got John Grandwell up. John?
Let me explain something. I don't care what name the judge uses for you. If it ain't right, don't change it. We'll talk about Selden X. Bailey. Selden was born in Demopolis, Alabama on July 24th, 1920. He was educated in Tuscaloosa school system and studied at the University of Alabama, where he entered the service through ROTC. During World War II, Mr. Bailey volunteered to organize sea air rescue in the Southwest Pacific and was involved in every air action from New Guinea to Japan, where he witnessed the Japanese surrender to MacArthur on August 12, 1945. Upon his return to the United States, Mr. Bailey was employed by the Birmingham Chamber of Commerce. He was given a 5-year leave of absence to manage the Dothan Chamber of Commerce, where he was involved in the National Peanut Festival Corporation. After the 5-year leave, he remained in Dothan, representing insurance companies in the area of life, health, and real estate investment. Additionally, he was secretary treasurer of the Wiregrass Rehabilitation Center, as well as president of the Rotary Club, where he was twice honored as a Paul Harris Fellow. He was a member of the First United Methodist Church, where the men's breakfast group honored him by designating their group as the Selden Bailey Prayer Breakfast, and there's several of us in the room that are part of that group. On a personal note, I met Selden in 1985 when I returned to Dothan, and we were friends until his death. It was about 4 years prior to his death that we were talking aviation in his service. And when I learned that he was in command of search and rescue operations in the South Pacific, I told him about my father being shot down in B-24 near Papua New Guinea. Next time I saw him, he had a logbook on his SAR missions. On October 12, 1943, his SAR list contained 5 B-24s shot down. My father's plane was on that list. Selden joined the Dothan Rotary Club September 1st, 1952.
and was a member for 60 years, 7 months, 19 days. That's 22,146 days. I jokingly asked Sheldon one time, do you have the first nickel you ever made? He said, no. No, I loaned it to a young fellow and told him, don't blow this on candy now, invest it. I learned that was John Watson. That's me, Mr. Bailey, on the journey to the Lord. Thank you, John.
Would you like this out here? He gets the program and then talks to all of us. No, he directs all of us to come up with the program. You're the judge. Get out of stuff. I want you to close your eyes and think for a minute, who in your mind would be the perfect Rotary Club member? My person that I see when I close my eyes and think of a person, member joined the Rotary Club in 1970, was born in 1940. He enjoyed coming to the Rotary Club because he saw people that he never saw any time during the week. And it was his desire to know every person in the Rotary Club by their first name. He was very conservative, quiet, slow to anger, never expressed an opinion unless it was asked. He was all things you would expect a dedicated member to be. He served as president in 1985. He was not a funny guy, but he would tell a story occasionally. He worried a lot about major decisions he had to make. I had the pleasure of going with him on a trip back in the 90s. And of course, he drove because he never trusted my driving. And in the vehicle, he informed me that he had never been in a vehicle going over 100 miles an hour. And that just shocked me. I thought all young boys had to find out how fast their vehicle would go on the first or second time you ever got to driving. But that was not the case with Morris. He had never done that. And I told him, I said, you let me drive. We'll break that record before we get back home. But he would not let me drive. But one thing Morris did do, he loved the Rotary Club. He loved to play golf. That was his main thing. And he played golf. He received a golf scholarship to Auburn University. And he was Auburn's first All-American golfer. He won the Future Masters in Dothan in I don't know what year he won, but he did. But when I opened my mind to picture the perfect Rotary Club, I think of Morris Swindon.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
I'll agree with what Jack Collier said. The judge picks the program and then he gets everybody else to do his work for him. I think that's kind of the way it is in the courthouse. When he asked me this, I'm like, okay, I picked this one. So I started doing my research. I called Bob Rudder. He says, you can't do that one. I'm doing that. Which when I started 37 years ago, Walter Moreland was my hero. Walter did type like this, and Walter didn't use a computer. I helped Walter build our Rotary book and program and put it together. But a little about Walter, one quick thing Bob didn't mention. If you want to know anything about Rotary or Walter Moreland, Les donated all of his dad's stuff. That man kept everything that's in the Wiregrass archives, Troy State University. Get online, go look at it. I was a 5-year perfect attendance Rotarian before I ever joined the Rotary Club. My daddy realized it was cheaper for me to join than it was for me to come as a guest and keep eating. I got put on a committee. It was called the White Elephant Cell, and there was this grumpy old man with glasses and all, and he was in charge of it. His son-in-law, Bill Blunt, was one of the guys helping. Judge Brennan, Charlie Skeen, some of the people that are gone in the past would help. And I was like, what are we doing this for? What is the White Elephant? This is it, y'all. Look around. 37 years ago, I didn't understand what they saw back then. The White Elephant Cell was started in 1936. They raised $41 was the total amount raised then. Mark Cannon was the brains behind it. Mark had quit, he retired, he'd quit working by the time I was in Rotary to even know. All I can remember the man was, he was a Rotarian. I don't know what his job title was. A&P. Huh? He worked for A&P. A&P. Okay, well, you're like your father. You keep good records. The 1944 or 1940 was the 4-H watch program. Y'all see the young guys and girls come in, and Arthur Gardner, gives a watch. Well, that watch was basically given by Mark Cannon the first time. It was his idea to do that. He was 1966 district governor. In 1992, the man had gotten to where he couldn't make it to Rotary, and we, the Rotary Club, made him an honorary member, and he had committed 56 years of his life to being a Rotarian. Paul Lee and I, Bob Rudder, and Bruce and all of us kind of started putting this together at his discretion. I got Paul Lee to get the plaques out of all the past presidents, put them in the hall. Stop and look at them. We're going to hang them up in here. And the old pictures, the old guy sitting there with his glass on, that's Mark Cannon. But when I was a young Rotarian, I would walk in and look down the line. And like you said, Mr. Hall was a Rotary president twice. But look at all the names, and it kind of, hey, I know him. I remember him, and it'll make you jog. But when you go back to what Rotary in Dothan, Alabama was, Mark Cannon and them put the money together to help crippled children, and $41 turned into running a multi-million-dollar business out here that Paul Lee and his people run, that they help the handicapped people. But I mean, you see them anywhere. I go to cardiac rehab at Flowers Hospital every Monday and every Wednesday. There's a truck pulling up, bringing towels and sheets that Paul y'all do, but that's what y'all do. This is what we as Rotarians cause, and it was cause people like Mark Cannon and Harry Hall and the people passed before us put forth. Next time you're going to be looking around, young guy got into today, it's going to be the Bob Ritters and Bruce Halls that are the old guys that you're standing up having to talk about. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
James, after it, James, you ready?
Thank you, Rotarian Mike Conaway, for giving us the opportunity to talk about a Rotarian that a lot of us know and some do not know it. A gentleman named Dr. Jack Sasser, who I always affectionately called Dr. Jack. Dr. Jack was born on July 6, 1936 in Conaway County, Alabama. He lived his early years in Andalusia area and graduated from Andalusia High School. He was captain of his football team. A few years before his passing, he was asked to Andalusia to receive the Outstanding Graduate of the Year Award, the name of W. Robert Brown. After high school, Dr. Jack joined the Armed Forces and served in the Korean War as a Morse code specialist. He received the Medal of Honor from the Army and retired from the Army as a member of the Army Reserves in 1963. Dr. Jack met his wife, Miss Arlene, in Troy, Alabama College And he was nearly married 63 years. He missed about 20 days of his death. They would have been married, like I said, 63 years if they had not passed away on the 6th of March of 21. Dr. Jack received his BS from Troy State University, back we call it Troy State, and his MS from Florida State University, his EDS from Auburn University in Montgomery, and his EED from Auburn University in Auburn. Dr. Jack began his journey in education as the principal of the State's High School in Florida. He then became principal of 7th Street Elementary School in Dothan. This was the beginning of a wonderful profession for Dr. Jack. After his time at 7th Street, Dr. Jack moved to the central office of city schools as the director of instruction and curriculum. From there, he became the interim superintendent of Dothan City Schools until he retired, and then became the executive director of the Wiregrass Rehab Center that we're in today. While at DRC, he became involved in Dothan Rotary Club, was honored to receive the Paul Harris Fellow Award for Rotary International 3 times. He also received the Alabama Association of Rehabilitation Services 2010 Outstanding Rehabilitation Professional of the Year. The Dothan Rotary Club in 2011-12, he was Rotarian of the Year and received the Dothan Businessman of the Year in 2014. We honored him as a lifetime membership, once he retired as honorary Rotarian. He was a past president of the Dothan Rotary Club, a member of the Dothan Area Chamber of Commerce, board member of the Community Intensive Treatment Program, which is called the City Program, Family Guidance Center, Covenant Hospice, and served on numerous other civic boards and service groups here in Dothan. But after 36 years as an educator and 19 years as the executive director here at Wiregrass Rehab, Dr. Jasper knew he was dealing, he always knew he was going to be dealing with people, of course. Here's a quote from Dr. Jack when he was executive director of DRC. On this particular job, I think I learned more about people than I had in all my years of education. I saw people who had severe disadvantages and challenges move on with their lives. Dr. Jack retired here at DRC at the end of 2015 as executive director. During his tenure, the WRC assisted more than 18,000 individuals with disabilities in the tri-state area in overcoming vocational barriers and securing employment. By nurturing the WRC business with a social purpose, $1.6 million budget had grown to $10 million annually when he retired. His footprint is diverse, including a commercial laundry, 2 retail stores, a food service program, lawn services, janitorial services, and contracts with businesses and the city. And as we just mentioned, it came about because Rotarians working back years ago what we're able to have the fruits of today. Dr. Jack had a degree in special education and worked with special students throughout his retirement in the school system, which was also easy for him to transition into the job here at WRC. A quote from Dr. Jack: "My work in the school system just made this a natural transition for me. Having the opportunity to work with these individuals is a setting where we were equipped and set up to make a difference has made a joy to my life." His proudest achievement was the difference WSC had made in these people's lives. The WSC had employees that not only had abilities, but had disabilities, but he could not tell the difference. Of course, okay, one more point I will say. I'm proud of the fact we've been able to grow the organization in order to serve and better. We've been able to have jobs for them. I've got over 100 with special needs employed here. Great work, Rotarian Jack Sasser. Service well done, serving others.
Bill Sheedy. Bill,
We're running out of time, I'm gonna make mine quick, take it short. But, I joined the club 49 years ago last month. And when I joined, the majority of everybody in here was on Social Security. So you can imagine what it looked like. That's why we're known as the old folks club, and I think we still are. One thing I want to talk about, the first one was George Mariah Malone. He was an avid Alabama fan. And when I got in, Alabama was beating Auburn every year. And it was a real highlight of my, George Mariah would stand up and say something every Monday after that game. So when Bo Jackson beat Alabama, it was a highlight for me to stand up and say something. John Solomon, Archie's daddy, he used to sit at the same table I did when we went over my end sometime. Mr. Solomon was one of the best people I ever knew. John could always tell a joke, most of them off color. And we always enjoyed having him sit there. But what I remember most about when John was there, we used to have the white elephant sale there on the afternoons or during the lunchtime. And one time Archie and his sister were there bidding against each other, and Big John almost had a heart attack. And last, I want to say something about Walter Moreland that nobody else here I don't think could say. But Les, I dated your sister. I don't know if you guys remember what it was like when you showed up and the girl wasn't ever ready. You had to sit there with the daddy. And Walter was always very nice to me. I sure it's a real honor for me to be a member of this club for 49 years. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's an honor for me to talk about this person. This person is still with us. This young man is only 94 years old. Amazing. Dr. Lester Stewart. I first met Dr. Stewart as a student at Troy State in 1972 in the education department. He was not only my teacher, he was one of my advisors. So after meetings, a lot of times he'll tell people, she was one of my students. 50-something years ago, yes, I was one of his students. But I've always been encouraged by the things that Dr. Stewart has done. He's led me to pursue a lot of things that I've done through Rotary. He's always encouraged, and he encourages every one of you. Dr. Stewart attended Troy State, Auburn University, and also the University of Alabama. He graduated from Auburn University with his PhD. He has been a high school coach, a college coach, an umpire, and a life leader all of his life. A side note, going back to the Peanut Festival, in 1985, Dr. Stewart coordinated the Peanut Festival activities for all the local queens and provided all the things that they would do for that week to the crowning of the queen. He exemplifies the motto of Rotary International, of service above self. He's been involved at the local, the district, and the international level. In his early time, he helped get the Tuesday Rotary Club started. But due to conflicts with his schedule and his teaching, he came and joined our Monday Club in 2000. And he's been a continuous member since then. On the club level, he's participated in every activity our club does, from delivering dictionaries, Salvation Army bell ringer, the White Elephant Sale, the Senior Citizens Luncheon, to taking a hammer for the Habitat for Humanity, the Foster Children Program, the school paper drives, food bank. In addition, he works with the White Elephant Sale. We're going around picking up for the silent auction, making sure we got that in line. But he started as our song leader, which you saw today. He also used to be the one that wrote the alter ego before we went to a digital in the paper part. He helped us get the Rotary Miracle Field started, the Miracle Playground. He's worked on every, like I said, every project that we have in Rotary today or in the years past, he's got his stamp on it. On the district level, he continuously went to all of our district meetings, wherever they happen to be. And he's a former director of our Leadership Academy for the district. On the international level, Dr. Stewart is a former group leader of Rotary International's Group Study Exchange. He has taken students from our district to England. He stated one time, it's a very interesting, informative, and educational visit for myself and for college-age young people. He also visited more than 30 different Rotary activities. They went to clubs, schools, parties, parades, hospitals, youth meetings, college and universities, districts meetings, and all over. He also has worked with, I think about 13 years with Russia as part of Troy State. But during those opportunities, he was able to go to Russian Rotary clubs and share what we do. But it's just an honor. Dr. Stewart, would you please stand up? He continues to be an inspiration, and thank you so much for your leadership.
Thank you very much. We are Rotarians. We seek to uphold the truth. We are Rotarians. We build better relationships. We are Rotarians seeking to serve others. We are Rotarians proud of our heritage. Thank you.
Great program. Go with, let's stand and repeat the full-way test of the things we think we must say. Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Rotary board meeting right now.